This is the Shotgun City Sheriff, the law himself, Clayton Clark.
This is the young Titan, Aaron Atlas.
This is your favorite drunken pro wrestler, a.k.a. the Bud Light Brawler, Dalton Davis.
This is Danger Josh Crane.
Hey, this is Matt Brannigan.
This is Sage Phillips, the Catch Wrestling Casanova.
This is Steve Wilson, the man behind former Impact Wrestling and current independent wrestling star, The Monster, Congo Kong.
This is Jake Something.
And this is the jaw-jacking, back-cracking, God created all men equal, and then he made me the sequel, Rohit Raju, and you are listening to the Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast. Hell yeah.
The Spot Show Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast? Yeah, that's right, I stuttered. Shut up.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Spot Show Podcast, a professional wrestling podcast not about professional wrestling. I, of course, am one of your hosts, the Dr. Seuss of the commentary booth, Dickie Wabash, joined, as always, by the one-legged wonder, Mr. Michael Madrox.
Hi, Dickie.
Boy, you know what it feels like right now?
We were just here.
It feels like, well, but it feels like we're getting ready to call an EPW show right now. You know what I mean?
It does, man. Because the whole band is in town.
We have the third wheel with us here. We got Mr. Colby Jack with us.
Moo. Thanks for having me, guys.
Man,
I wouldn't call him the third wheel. He's more like the hitch. He's the one that holds us together.
Colby's the glue that holds the commentary team together. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it feels so weird without you doing commentary anywhere else.
Well, it's very humbling for you guys to say that, but I enjoy everything we do together, guys.
Dude, I'm not even joking. Like, we were doing post-production for a show like last week, and I went to go say, Colby, how do you feel about that? And I had to catch myself like right then and there.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah. We'll get a little bit more into our relationship more, as the podcast goes on, obviously. But yeah, man, we've been talking about having you on here forever, and we finally, the stars have finally aligned, and we finally got you on here. Feels great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I've been wanting to come out here. It's just I've been super busy at the barn, working, cleaning the barn, taking over, helping the other cows out.
I mean, we've all been busy, though. That's the thing.
It's harvest season, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the thing, is that we always come on here and I feel like the people already like, oh, they're talking about it again, where we just talk about how busy we've been. But it's just like, that's the reality of it, guys. Sorry, we've been busy. Hey, but speaking of being busy, before we get too far into this, I just want to let everybody know that this episode of the Spot Show Podcast is brought to you by Yoo-Hoo and Hybrid Championship Wrestling, but you're going to hear a little bit more about them later. That is, of course, unless you head on over to patreon.com/MadBash Studios. Back us at the $5 and above tier, and you will get this show completely ad-free. You're also going to get access to Paid Show, which I'm probably, the Colby Jack Paid Show is probably going to be one that people really want to listen to. I just got a feeling about that one. But here's the thing. I understand when it comes to the Patreon, not everyone always has the extra funds to toss our way. I get it completely. I understand. We all go through struggles. Maybe you don't have the extra ducats. Here's a way you can support us completely free. You can go to your favorite podcasting platform, hit that share button, hit a 5-star review for the brothers, head on over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, head on over to the Facebook page, give us a like ski, all of that stuff, completely free. And listen, here's the thing. We appreciate any kind of support that we can get, whether it's paid or free. We just love the support of the fans. But again, the big one, patreon.com/MadBash Studios. I'm getting better at that.
You're doing this so good now.
My favorite part is when we have a guest on and they just kind of sit there awkwardly like, is he going through this whole spiel right now? Like, because I kind of looked to the corner of my eye at Colby and he was like, is Dickie gonna, so is this over
My favorite's
yet?
when the guys are like, you read all that quick without stuttering? And it's like, no,
just
dude, that's off the head.
I just remember it all. It's that you got to get those reps in, brother. And I've gotten so many reps in with doing it that, I just know. The only thing is, though, we switch up sponsors each episode. So sometimes I'll forget who the sponsor is, but, it is what it is. So, yeah, man, we got Colby Jack here.
Yeah, and I'm happy to be here. Anything you guys want to ask? Anything you guys want to know?
Look at this guy taking over the show
Look
already.
at him, like, I'm going to dictate my own interview. So when did you first start training? I'm joking. We really don't go down that road here. We never do. We just kind of have a casual conversation with it. But I'm going to tell you about Colby Jack here real quick. It's going to be funny to have this conversation with him here because we've told this story a few times where we find out that, hey, we're going to be doing EPW's commentary, but Steven tells us there's going to be a third guy with you. And we're like, man, we really didn't want to have a third guy. And it was no knock on you. It was just like, man, we kind of wanted to just do it on our own, you know? And then we meet you, and that first show, from that point on, we've just been like, how could we do this without him, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I remember when Steven came to me with the idea of being commentary. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe, I mean, it keeps me in the business with my injury and all. And they're like, yeah, we got 2 other guys. And I'm like, okay, I don't know who these guys are, but let's do it. And it clicked right from the first match we called together.
Yeah. And I just remember you showing up to the building, and I'd been like, you ever done commentary before? And you're like, absolutely not. And I said, just follow my lead. You'll be okay. Because I had done it before. Madrox had done it before.
Yep.
But we got the Iggy from Dalton Davis. He was like, dude, Colby's a good dude. He's like, I used to run the roads with him. I think you guys are going to mesh really well together. And I don't know if he filled you in on us at all or anything, but he definitely, he gave us, he gave you that rub. And we all know that Dalton Davis rub really goes somewhere, brother.
Yeah, he just told me you guys were really good guys and you guys would take care of me at the commentary table, and you guys absolutely have taken care of me at the commentary table. And without you guys, I wouldn't be as good at commentary as I am.
You'd be fine.
You'd handle it all by yourself, man.
You'd be fine. Yeah. So that's the funny thing I think about with our team is that we definitely we've really turned it into, you know, we talk about how you wouldn't be as good if it wasn't for us. Like, I honestly feel the same way, because it's like there have been plenty of times where we just pick up on what each other is doing, and like I don't think that I would have, like, I never would have, because again, 3-man team, you know, it is what it is. Like, and then I get in there with you and I'm like, man, I'm learning how to do a 3-man team. And like, this is just really cool. You know, like I really was not a fan of 3-man teams. Like, I know that that's like the staple now, like everyone does 3-man teams, but you know, Madrox and I had the ready-made chemistry. So then I was like, fuck, now we got to build chemistry with somebody else. Like, I mean, let's do it. But like you said, within the first show, we were golden.
What I love about our 3-man team, though, is at any point someone could take the lead.
Yeah, I do.
We are
by
really
that.
good at that.
Yeah, there have been
Really
times
good.
when something happens where at the commentary
breaks.
table, someone breaks or someone's laughing or whatever.
Oh, we're breaking all the time.
We're just messing with each other, and someone has to take the lead while the other one's trying to recoup and get back to the commentary, and then we're right back into it.
Yeah, there was a moment at the last EPW show where Madrox said something. I'm not going to go into what it was. And Colby just pauses, slow turn, and looks at him. And then I pause, slow turn, just look at him. And Madrox just goes, what? Like, we just went on with the show. But what's even better about that now is that show was the first show where we had a camera on us.
Yes.
So there's going to be footage of Colby and I just looking at Madrox like, what the hell are you on about right now, dude?
Oh yeah, I was on some dumb shit that night.
Oh, we all were. But that's the thing though, like you talk about the comfortability of it. Like, we're all comfortable enough with each other now that we can just throw out just the most random thing in the world, and we know how to run with it. Like, your chemistry with us is like, I would put it up there with just me and Madrox together. But then,
Absolutely.
like, the only combination that we've not had is just you two on commentary. Like, we've had just me and Colby, we've had just me and Madrox, but we've never had just you two. So I would be curious to see, like, how the chemistry, I mean, I'm sure the chemistry would be fine.
Brother, if I'm thinking right, I remember November maybe. No, we're not even in November. September. There was a show that had 5 minutes of just me and Colby going because your ass was underneath the table laughing hysterically about a cow in Nike Jordans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That did happen. That did happen. What was the... Okay, so you explained the joke because you made a joke and I took it serious and didn't know that you were joking.
Oh, it was the... what was it?
It was the Travis Scott joke,
Yeah,
wasn't
I
it?
said Travis Scott was a rapper or was an actor or something like that, and you were like, Travis Scott is a rapper.
Yeah, and then you just look at me and just go, moo. And then I was literally like, that's the hardest that I have broke on commentary. And like, you guys were able to cover for it well enough. But
yeah, that's what it was. I said Travis Scott was an actor and he's actually a rapper.
Yeah. And then you go, I don't know who Travis Scott is. And then I just start laughing. And then after the show, I'm like, you really don't know who Travis Scott is? And you're like, yeah, Dickie, I know who Travis Scott is. Like, but the Colby Jack character isn't going to know who Travis Scott is. But yeah, man. So this is actually going to be a pretty good little topic of conversation here, me just saying that. Because, I mean, we had Jared on, who's kind of in the same boat as you are, but he wasn't able to really dive into the minutia of what it is. So obviously, Colby Jack is not your standard. I mean, now you're retired from the business, but your standard gimmick character. So do you feel like that helps you in there, like to be the cow, or do you feel like it kind of holds you back, or do you like kind of both?
I just kind of let it kind of come out a little bit, because sometimes when I get those slap happy moments at the table because I'm lack of sleep or whatever.
Yeah.
It brings out.
Oh, there have been plenty of those.
It brings out the child in me, and the idea of Colby Jack having the education of a third grade or fourth grade, whatever I decided at the time, it makes sense because I don't use big words, or I'll act like a child at times, or act like, hey, I don't know who Travis Scott is.
Yeah.
So it just helps, and it makes for more fun at the commentary table.
Yeah. Because I'll be honest with you, like that first night we clicked, and then we were kind of like, man, that moo thing is going to get pretty annoying. And then we were on the way back, and then the more and more it's happened, like, no, we need that. Like, you started doing it less and less.
Yeah.
And it's almost like I almost miss it now, because it's
now
like,
when we get the moo, it pops us.
Yeah. Yeah, because it'll just be like, there'll be so many times where we've just forgotten where we are, and we're just watching the match, and then all of a sudden we'll just hear moo, and then like that snaps us back into where we need to be with it,
Yeah, I like to use it when there's a awkward silence or whatnot, just to kind of snap us back into it. I'm trying less to use it, but because it could get annoying after a while, but at times it's needed for a commentary team. Like, I'll casually say it here and there, but most of the time, yeah, you won't hear it very much, but I need to do it more, actually.
Yeah, because it, like you said, it definitely fits with the character, because like it's this weird thing, like you just look at the team on paper and you have the hipster, the guy that's based off of a serial killer, and a cow. And it's just like three of these three walk into a bar. Like it sounds like the setup for a joke almost, but yeah, that was the thing that I noticed really quickly, is that you've definitely picked up on commentary a lot better. And like Madrox said, like we're at a point where we could honestly, any of us could take lead. Like there was a time, and we've talked about Dickie the sickly, because remember there was like 2 month stretch where I was sick. Like this was going into one of the Washington shows, and I wasn't feeling it. And I'm like, brother, I don't think I can take lead. I was like, it's going to have to be you or Colby. And he was like, no worry, we got it. But then I just toughed it out and I was able to do it. But I think that's what's good about it, is that we are able to fill in when need be. Like we all have our own, and this is another thing too that I wanted to bring up, is that we all have our own little, because you have Moo, obviously. Madrox has the thing of where he'll just get ahead of himself and say words wrong.
Yes.
And then we always correct him. And then I have two things that I always do that I always get caught on. And I'm curious to see if you guys like know me well enough to be like, yeah, those are the things that Dickie always does.
You're a horrible fortune teller.
Yeah, that was the
That's the main one.
Yeah.
That's the main one.
I'm drawing blanks on the second one.
So I am very bad about, I'll start a thought and then not know where to end it. So I'll just be like, I don't know what point I'm trying to make here. Like I do it at least once a show. Like, that's just the thing that we do.
I was gonna say we call moves the wrong name or convince guy or switch guys' names up.
Yeah, that happens a lot too.
And me and Colby are always there like, no, shut that shit down.
Yeah, that's not it. That's not it. Because, like I said, you guys have the wrestling background. I have the managerial background. So I think that, we definitely bring a different outlook on it, like as opposed to someone who is just like came in, didn't have a lick of experience in the business, and they get thrown into a commentary role. I'm not knocking them. I mean, we all got to have our foot in the door, but you guys are able to break down a move differently than I could. And then, Madrox, I've always said, I feel like Madrox out of us three is probably the best at the psychology of it. And then I've always felt like I'm the best with the storytelling of it. And then you're more of like here's what that move was. And I think that, because we decided very early on, we were like, no, the role that we're going to do, the style that we're going to do is just guys watching wrestling.
Yeah.
And that fits us so well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there was one time where I was devil's advocate for some match, and I was going off because I disagreed with what you guys were saying, and then I felt so bad afterwards.
I remember that show.
And I was like, I didn't mean to do. They're like, no, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, Colby has apologized so many times after shows. So
for good shit, though.
For good stuff, because he comes to you one day and he's like, man, I wasn't a part of this conversation, so you may want to take it and explain it better. He was
Are you talking about the Logan situation?
Well, no, there's another one.
Yeah.
Where he comes after, and I guess you were like, man, I really kind of took a lead during that match and was like really analyzing it more.
That's the match he's talking about.
Oh, is that the same one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of, because you guys are saying something and I'm thinking in my head as a wrestler, I'm like, no, that shouldn't be the story we're telling. This should be the story of two competitors fighting for a world title, not two brothers fighting each other. That's
that was the Aaron Austin match. Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys were saying, oh, they're brothers. Why are they playing them again? I'm like, no, it's spirit of competition. What if you don't want to be a world champion, get out of the business.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that you apologized for that I was like, no, man, it was good, is whenever he was out in the hospital and you were messaging me notes to read on commentary and you were like 30,000 people hanging from the rafters or whatever. And then Colby goes, I think the pain pills are getting to him, Dickie, or something like that. And then I hit record, and Colby goes, "Oh my God, was that too much?" And I was like, and this was early in us working together.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "No, dude." I said Madrox would have loved that joke, and you're like, "Okay." So you felt really good about it, but that was also, you want to talk about being on some bullshit. This is one I've wanted to have you because I've talked about it a little bit on here, but we've now that you're here, remember when we just started talking about Rocky for no reason?
Yeah, the story behind that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't even remember what initially was said, and you don't have to go into specifics about why Rocky was so prevalent in your life if you don't want to. But
I can. It's just basically at an old job I worked with autistic kids, and I had someone I always had to watch, and he was always watching Rocky every single day, 1 through 7 with 6. It was 6, then the Creed movies.
Yeah.
Every single day I got to the point where I could quote him. And he's sitting there acting like he's never seen them before, and that's kind of where our Rocky jokes come from.
Yeah, so then pure kismet, we are sitting and I say, John Scrunch is hitting those fists like Apollo Creed. And then there's just this pause and Colby looks at me and goes, I just watched the Rocky movies. And I said, oh my God, I did too. Because they were just fresh in my mind because I had just started watching them. And then we just start throwing out all these Rocky references. And it just, from that point on, we just that was when the official, we're just guys watching wrestling. That's what this is. And you weren't there for it. It was just Colby and I.
Can I tell Colby the good news, though?
Yeah.
You came all the way down here to record this session, right?
Yeah.
Guess what we're doing right after?
What's that?
Watching all the Rockies in a marathon, bro.
I quit. I'm going home. I'm going home.
I got them already loaded up on the list, brother. We're going to watch them. But yeah, it's just dumb stuff like that. Like, that's the stuff that honestly, like, so I still have a very hard time with it. And like, I don't know if you guys do. Like, do you guys have a point in the show where the burnout hits you and like you don't feel as like energetic and you like, or stuff like that?
Semi-main, every show.
It's usually semi-main for me.
Yeah, usually it hits me at times, and then my slap happiness kicks me right back into it because I have this weird slap happy phase where I just don't care. I wouldn't say don't care, but it's just kind of like I'm a child.
Yeah.
So I have that burst of energy, like let's go.
Yeah.
I love that version of Colby though.
That's my favorite version. But it's funny you say that because that's exactly what happens to me as well, is that I just get like slap happy is a very good way to put it, where I'll just be like, guys, I'm so tired. Like I'll just be like, guys, you need to understand right now how tired I am. And like just dumb stuff
And
like
then you
that.
click into the 3 a.m. giggle session and it's over.
Yeah. Yeah. There's, like I said, there's only been one, not counting the pool party match, which you weren't there for, and that upsets me. There was only one instance where, and you talked about it, where the whole Travis Scott story, where I just completely was like, I'm not even going to attempt to hide the fact that I'm laughing. I'm just going to laugh and just let these two take over.
Yeah, because I feel like if we just here's the thing. I feel like if we let the people know like what we're feeling or what we're doing, I feel like they're included into the pod or into the commentary a little bit because they're oh, we're having fun with these guys watching the show.
Yeah, that's literally the idea, is that you're sitting on a couch with us watching the wrestling. And like, I know you're the same way. I don't know if you're this way because of us, but we're definitely this way of where we don't want to know spots. We don't want a call sheet. We just want we obviously hear stuff in the production meeting, but like for the most part, like I don't want to know what you're doing in your match. Like sometimes I'll go up to someone, like if it's a big main event, and be like, so is there anything specifically that you want me to hit on commentary? But I've stopped doing that.
So have I.
Yeah, I just rather just watch it and just enjoy it. I don't even want to know anything. Like I just want to go in blind and be like, okay, this is what we got.
I hate knowing the finishes.
That's the one drawback, yeah.
Because when they tell you the finish before the show, like as soon as you see the guy set up for the move, you know it's coming. So you're like, fuck, here it comes.
Yeah, but in a way,
my fun.
Yeah, in a way, like you also know how to like wrap it up in a way though, because like I could just be going off on a tangent and then it's like, oh well, that got cut or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And I think the funny thing though about us is that commentary doesn't stop or start with the match. Like we're talking all night, and we've talked about Shit Show, which is going to be coming to the Patreon, and that's going to be a little behind the scenes ski of like just the shit that we're talking like whenever. And I had to like tell you guys, I was like, okay, so just so you know, we're not stopping recording at all, because the real shit talk, and it's not even bad, is just would be before the mic would hit. And I'd be like, okay, guys, here we go. But now we're just doing one big solid file.
Yeah, I remember some comments being made, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be great.
Yeah,
just for people to hear, because they're just gonna laugh. And
yeah,
I'm excited for all the boys to hear the shit.
Yeah. Yeah, because we'll tell them, we'll be like, all we're doing is just talking shit about you guys as your, and not in like it's
not a bad
it's
mean
not
shit.
It's more of the just
we're laughing with you.
We're laughing with you, not at you. We're just taking the piss is all we're doing. That's all we're doing. Like it's nothing malicious. It's not, it's just having fun, because to bring it back to my original point, it's like, you know, you talk about, it's usually semi-main where I start to feel it, but it's the stuff like that that keeps you going and like keeps you energetic. You get slap happy, and then fun Colby Jack comes out, and you're just like, I don't even know. And then it's just like me just like, and here he's setting up for, I'll be honest, guys, I lost what I was even talking about.
I mean, Colby hasn't experienced this, but you have. With those shows where they record just one solid track and use the entire audio for the show. Those are horrible, because you don't get no downtime. You don't get to talk to yourselves or nothing. It's just go, 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 go.
Yeah, because that's the beauty of doing it at EPW. And I'm not saying one way is right or wrong. I'm just saying that with EPW, if we need to, then we can hit the stop of record and just be like, all right, man, let's take a little bit of a break, ski, get a rest in, blah, blah, blah. But with those certain shows that they just record all the way through, and like they even use the audio as people are coming to the ring, which we had to train ourselves on because, as you know, we don't do commentary when they're coming to the ring. That's our primetime shit talking stage.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, man, that's the thing, is that people like love to be like, oh man, you're the JR and King, or you're the Michael Cole and Taz, or the Mike Tenay. It's like, I don't know about your outlook on it, but I know our outlook on it is that we like, I get the compliment, but I don't really want to be compared to anything. Like, we want to do our own thing, you know?
Yeah, I've never really been compared except by you guys, by anybody, but I don't like the comparison. I just want to be me.
Yeah.
I don't like to compare anybody to anybody because we're trying to be our own thing.
Yeah.
Building our own legacy out here, one commentary table at a time.
Yeah. We like, and again, it's like that legacy wouldn't, and if this is repetitive, I'm sorry, but it's just true. It's like that little bit that we had where that little doubt of like, man, third guy. And then we get there and we're like, yeah, this is something special. Like Madrox said earlier, to the same point of where like, we can do it without you, but it doesn't feel the same,
Yeah, and I remember the first show because the like first half I was like really nervous and trying to figure it all out, and then after intermission I was rolling right with you guys.
You absolutely were.
That's when the chemistry clicked.
Yeah. So then that brings my next question is like, what, like you had, I'm assuming that you had first day jitters, right?
Oh yeah.
About coming into commentary.
Yeah, I did. And I just kind of just say, you know what, just roll with it, play off of whatever they say, kind of do what's asked of you, and just go for it. And look where we are now. What is it, like several months later?
10 months.
How unprofessional do we look when you came to us for the first commentary job, when you're like, hey, we're here to do commentary, and we handed you no notes, no communication, no nothing.
You guys
we're just
had
like, let's have fun.
See, you guys had like notes and whatnot from the last show. I didn't have nothing. I just sat down and went, okay, let's do this.
Actually, all we had was the match card.
All we had was the match card, and then we came and we had studied like the last 2 or 3 shows before January just to get familiar with the product. And by that time you were already out, which if you want to get more into that, we can in the back half of this podcast. But we knew like who Khalil Akbar was, who Mount Olympus were, who, I don't know. I mean, we knew Sam Knight already, but like we had to look at these guys that we did not know, that were not around when we were around in our first runs. And that's what we were kind of counting on you for, because, and then you come in and you're like, oh no, I haven't been here since I got hurt. And we're like, okay, wonderful. So now what are we
Well,
gonna
I had
do?
an idea of who was still there and who was there and whatnot. And I watched matches here and there because I got wrestling sick a lot when I was hurt, and I want to go back and watch things. Oh, I want to see what this company is up to or what this company is up to. And I had an idea of who was who. It was just some people I was like, yeah, I don't know who that is.
Like there was literally, and I'm not going to say who they were, but there was a match that was on, and it was a tag match, and I go, that they were in the second half. I think this was the first or second show. You're smiling because you know the story and you know who it is. We'll tell you who it was on Paid Show. I go, okay, they just have the tag team name written down. Do you know which one is which? I don't know who's who in this tag team. And then Colby goes, I'll go ask. And then he walks up and he's like, he goes, they got kind of shitty with me. It was like,
I was like, well, I got to know, because here's the thing. If we're not doing our jobs calling the people the right names, how are we going to put them over?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's going to make me look like a piece of shit, but at least
it's also going to make them look like a piece of shit though if we don't call them their names.
Yeah. So
there was one match, And I don't know, probably where we legitimately forgot Jesse Hart's name. We could not remember what his name was. We knew that it was you because you thought it was his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was Jake. I was like, that's Jake Hart.
And I was like, that's not Jake Hart. I said, but Jake Hart's the brother. I said, but what is his name? And then so we just spent the whole match going Hart. And I'm like, I'm rolling through in my head, like trying to remember what his name is. And then towards the end of the match, I go, oh, pinfall victory from Jesse Hart or whatever. And then I'm thinking in my head, is it Jesse? And then MadBash goes, he mouthed to me, that's what it is. And then I was like, okay, good.
That was the first show, wasn't it?
No, it was the second.
Oh.
Yeah, it was the second show, which because I knew Jesse. I knew him, but just for some reason, his name escaped me.
And this isn't a knock on anybody of us forgetting names. Just sometimes all the names get mixed up, and sometimes we just forget.
Oh, I mean, I called. Who did I call Aaron Atlas at the last hybrid show? Like I just
Clayton Clark.
Yeah, I called Clayton. I was like, Aaron Atlas is in the ring, and MadBash's like, that's not Aaron Atlas, and I'm like, oh, because like there's a lot of like, and maybe you know what, guys, I just made a realization here that maybe we should have call sheets. Maybe we should, because these slip ups happen. But I mean, it's just like. But again, like there have been so many slip ups that end up like being covered almost really well because it's like we're just guys watching wrestling, and I think that's what works. But yeah, the Jesse Hart one was really, really funny because I just could not remember his fucking name.
I think the slip ups show that like we are in fact human and we actually do make mistakes. Cow, human and cow.
Yeah. You can't have it too perfect and too sterile because then it feels
fake,
rehearsed and forced and fake, and you can't relate with that, because we've all been in a situation in our normal conversations where you slip up and say a word wrong, and then you just get lambasted by your friend. Like, for give you an example. Clayton Clark sent a message to our group chat today and accidentally put massage. I massaged blank. And then we were like, ew. And he's like, okay, I meant message. But it's stuff like that. And like, that's what the cool thing is. And I really do think that that's why the camaraderie and the not camaraderie, but the chemistry is there because of the camaraderie, because it's like now we feel more comfortable. I mean, we've known each other since we're like
elementary school,
10 or whatever, but even less than that. But like with you, it was like, man, so do we make fun of him? Is he going to understand our humor? Like, is he going to get with it? And then we got to know you more, and then we realized, oh, he's one of us. And like when Dalton first told us, like, I used to roll the roads with him and everything, and blah blah blah. Here's what he is, and I knew you can consider this a good or a bad thing. The second that Dalton Davis said, I used to run the roads with him, I knew right away what kind of person you were, because it takes a special breed of person to be able to put up with Dalton Davis.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I remember when our first commentary, you were like, so are you just going to moo the whole time? Are you going to talk? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to talk. When I did my little retirement speech, I learned how to talk from, what is it? Hooked on Phonics or whatever. That was the joke I made. Because
that's a running gag.
That's the running gag now, yeah.
And, people would go, well, how is he going to do? When I shared that I was going to do commentary, people were like, you're just going to moo on commentary the whole time? And I'm like, no, I'm going to talk.
Yeah, you have to, because if it's just moo, like it just wouldn't be very good commentary. I mean, somewhere, like I feel like Chikara back in the day, you would have been perfect with that character in Chikara doing commentary, because you would have just been like, moo.
I've never seen him work in Chikara and the mask.
Yeah, that would have been good. But yeah, so we mentioned Dalton Davis. We'll probably get into some stories about Dalton Davis here after we hear a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Yoo-Hoo, a product of Keurig Dr. Pepper. So here's what I want you to picture right now, right? You're on a long road trip. You're driving along and you're thinking, man, I could really go for a nice, sweet, refreshing drink. You pull into a gas station and the first thing you see is Yoo-Hoo. And I got to tell you, grabbing that Yoo-Hoo, that's going to be the right decision every single time. Yoo-hoo is available in a variety of flavors, vanilla, strawberry, but here at MadBash, our personal favorite is chocolate. I'm going to tell you about Yoo-hoo a little bit more, right? We absolutely love this stuff here at MadBash. We cannot get enough of it. And you know what? We're going to sweeten the pot a little bit here thanks to Yoo-hoo. If you see us at a wrestling show and you buy a MadBash wrestling sticker, you are entitled to 1 free bottle of Yoo-hoo on MadBash Studios. Limit 1 per customer while supplies last. Now, come on, guys. You can't beat that deal with a stick. Again, MadBash would like to thank Yoo-hoo so much for sponsoring this episode. This episode of the Spot Show podcast is also brought to you by Hybrid Championship Wrestling, or HCW, if that's what you prefer to call them. Listen, Hybrid is an independent professional wrestling company based out of Terre Haute, Indiana. They have talent from all over the United States and are putting on star-studded shows all year long. But here's the thing about Hybrid. They are always looking for young new prospects and looking for new talent, sponsors, and business partners so that they can continue to bring you some of the best independent wrestling in the Midwest. If you want to go ahead, feel free to reach out to them on Facebook, Hybrid Championship Wrestling, on Twitter, at HCW_live, or on Instagram at HCW Midwest. Thank you so much to Hybrid Championship Wrestling for sponsoring the Spot Show podcast. So I said his name, and I'm honestly surprised that he didn't try to call me, because he's notorious for calling while we're recording. Dalton Davis, you had the unfortunate responsibility, if you want to put it that way. I'm joking. I'm joking. Look, here's the thing. I love Parker. Like, we've talked about it countless times. I love the guy. So anything, like we talked about it at the first half of this, like, the more that we make fun of you, that means the more that we like you, or the more that we dread of anything. But yeah, so after we got out of the business, like, we pretty much like kind of lost track of like what Dalton was up to. And then you were there during what we consider our Dalton Davis dark ages. So
yeah, absolutely. I first met him on a road. Well, we took a road trip, and it was me, him, and Jason Levi.
Yeah, he's one that I'd like to get on here one day.
Yeah, and he. Well, me and Ethan clicked first, and then he kind of said, hey, yeah, Parker's riding with us, and I met him. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's a piece of shit.
Every person, no one has a good first impression of Dalton Davis.
Until lately.
Until lately, yeah.
Yeah, and we rode the roads together. So I don't know how many people know about this, but we did little skits about a couple years ago, and it all happened because we were on the road, and I was just mooing while I'm always driving. I always drove, because one time Jason Levi flattened my tire just driving 10 minutes.
No.
And then Parker came and fixed our tire because it was freezing cold, and Parker was in a certain way. I'm not gonna get into that, but
if you know enough about it, you can probably figure it out.
And ever since, I was like, I'm driving us everywhere. So anytime we went to a show, I was driving in my car, and we nicknamed it the Pussy Wagon because it's so small, and we joked about it because
is it the car that you pulled up in here today? Yeah, I can see why that would be a tight fit.
It's just a Ford Fiesta, just tiny ass car, but we had so many good moments, and over time, we got to know each other very well, and doing the skits and whatnot, and it's been really good. And Parker's changed a lot, and in a good way, and I'm so proud of where he is right now.
Yeah, Yeah, he's definitely my little brother because I literally met him as a mark. Like, and you've heard the stories. I mean, you know the stories about how his mom wanted to kill me. His mom hated me. His mom was like, "Oh, this fucking asshole told my son," which I stand by. I never told him to fuck off. I never did. And this is my story. I am sticking to it. I will die on this goddamn hill. I did not tell a 10-year-old Parker Davis to go fuck himself. I did not. Anyways, and then, like, right as he was starting to actually get into working is when we left. So I didn't really, and his one dream was always, I want Dickie Wabash to manage me. I want Dickie Wabash to manage me. And I finally got to do it one time with him. And it just meant you could tell it meant the world to him. And he was like, there was another instance where I was at a show that he was working. It was when I was starting to come back around the second time. And I told him, I was like, what the fuck? I'll manage it tonight. You know? And then it was him and Sam Knight were working. And then come to find out it was going to be a no disqualification match. And then I reneged on what I said. I was like, if it's no disqualification, I don't want to do that, you know? And then I made good for him whenever.
Dickie didn't want to bump, what he's saying.
It's not even that I didn't want to bump. It's just like, as a manager, it's weird to be in a no disqualification match.
Because you should be up there the whole time.
Yeah. It just, it makes no sense to have a manager in a no DQ match. It's it's so weird. Did you ever do any managing, or were you only just a worker?
When I was teaming with Hillbilly Jed, who's my wrestling dad, I managed him a couple times. But other than that, I mean, we did funny little skits or funny little spots as me as a manager because, you know, I'm like a kid cow running around doing whatever. I'm going to tell this story. So there was one time Hillbilly Jed was in a match, and it was a triple threat. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but we told them, okay, we're going to do a spot where Jed is going to act like he's going to dive, and then I go in and do the dive because there's no DQ in a triple threat. Yeah. We didn't tell the other two what we were going to do after that. And Parker and Ethan came to me and go, we're going to do this. And so I do the dive gimmick, and I throw the guy in and go for the pin. I go for the pin, and then Parker comes out with a red shirt or whatever, and me being the cow, I chased him out because I don't like the color red. Yeah. And then Ethan just thumbs up and runs out. And the two guys after the match was like, fuck you guys, I was trying to not break in the ring.
That's always the best part, though, is like trying to like do little things to like make each other. We do it on commentary. We do it on commentary. Like, how many times have you seen me go like this? And what I just did was moved away from the mic and put my hand in my in the bend of my arm.
At least twice a match.
Oh, so many times.
Yeah.
Or we'll just exchange a little look and get that little smirk on our face. But that's what it's all about, man. And like, to quote Dalton Davis, because he's the first one I ever heard say this. When you're really on your fuck shit. And you're just out there just doing whatever the hell and just like having fun, because like I stand by it, like if you're not having fun, then why are you even doing it?
Right. And I didn't get that way until I started teaming with Hillbilly Jed, because we would do a lot of walk and talk, be like, okay, we're just gonna go out there and have fun. I mean, I remember when we did we just went out there and had fun. We didn't really like took anything too seriously. Like, we took the match seriously and everything, but we were just having fun. And that's when I learned is like, this doesn't have to just be work. It can be fun.
Absolutely. I think your career elevates once you get to that point, though, because I'm sure through your training, it's like, take everything serious. Don't go out there. Don't pull any light, nothing. Like, stay by the book. And then once you turn that page a little bit to say, and you go out there and you're having a great time, I think it makes you a bigger connect to the crowd. It makes your character over more and all that.
Absolutely. And I felt like I started, and that sucked because I got the injury right when I was kind of getting popular with the gimmick, because people were like, oh, there's this wrestler cow and whatnot, and I started getting popular, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you got this back injury.
Yeah, so then that's a perfect segue into it. So let's talk about that. Like, what exactly happened? When did it happen? You know.
So I was taking a month off because I thought I had bruised ribs, because I had bruised ribs before. I took a month off. I I had 2 titles at the time. I dropped them both and said, you know what? I told both companies I'm taking a month off. Don't book me. Don't bother me. I'm taking time off for myself. I was hurt. I was kind of depressed at the time. I wasn't at my best at the time, and I was working a lot and stuff like that. And I came back for my first weekend back was a 3-peat. And I got hurt on Saturday. I got hurt on Saturday. Got hurt on Sunday. I took a superplex on Sunday and got stingers down my legs. And I was like, I got to get this checked out. And the doctor was like, oh yeah, your back is fucked. You got this. So in my spinal cord, my L5 is slid forward in my spinal cord. And I had a bit of scoliosis and spina bifida, which could have been from an injury. It could have been from when I was born. There wasn't a pinpoint time. And I was so just devastated at the time because I was like, man, wrestling was all I had at the time. And I was just, it got me even more depressed. And then I was like, at one point I was just like, screw it, I'm just going to keep wrestling. And the doctor was like, well, you could end up paralyzed. And I'm like, part of me was like, I mean, all wrestling's all I got at this point. And then I talked to family and friends and even girlfriend at the time, and I was like, you know what, this isn't best. I gotta walk away. Yeah. And I walked away, and I did. I walked away. People were surprised, and it was what it was. And I found a new path in life and commentary.
Yeah.
And doing the MadBash studio stuff, it's gonna be fun, and I'm looking forward to what we're gonna put out there.
Oh yeah, and that what's crazy about too is that you and Madrox have a lot in common of where it's you really had no choice. Yeah. You had to be done because of health.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you what, I've really never told you this to your face, but I've said this about you, and I've said it to other people. Here's why I respect you so much is that you could have been like, you know what, fuck it. The dream didn't come true. I loved this business. It didn't love me back. Look at what I did. I gave up my body for it. Literally gave up my body for it. And you should have, for all intents and purposes, just been like, because for me personally, if I was in either one of your shoes, I wouldn't want to touch wrestling with a 10-foot pole.
Right.
But here's what I respect about both of you, for that matter, is you took the worst negative ever, and you did not let it kill your passion. I'm not that strong. I would have let it kill my passion in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. I would have been like, fuck this, because my situation was a little bit differently, where I've talked about it, where I realized that I no longer wanted my childhood dream. And so that's why I got out, because I was like, why am I doing this? I don't want to do this anymore. But you're taught when you're growing up that, because you have the childhood dream. You build yourself around what your dream is. Then I almost had an identity crisis. And it was like, even though I know I don't want it, I've trained myself to think that I do want it. So I have to stick around. And it put me in a very toxic place. And I'm sure that you probably faced that too. Even though you knew that, look, one miss bump and I'm paralyzed, but you still had that in the back of your head of this is the dream. I got to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to bring this up. I remember at my first retirement speech I had, I talked to a very respected man, a very great person, Congo Kong. And he told me, he said, I'll see you in 7 years. That's what he told me.
Yeah.
And I always had that in the back of my head. Would I ever come back? Could I come back? It would take a lot, a back surgery or some sort of that. Is it worth it? And overall, the answer is no. But I've always had that in the back of my head. Could I have that last match? Could I have...
Well, you're always going to, because you didn't really get to go out on your terms.
No. And the last match I had was, no offense, but it was a squash match because someone didn't show up.
Yeah.
And they threw me in there, and I just kind of said, okay, I'll do it, whatever. And, I'm doing what's best for the product, and it made sense for the time. And I did I think I did 4 matches in 3 days, and every single one of them I got hurt in some sort of way.
Yeah.
And whether it was just taking something wrong or someone messing up, or I'm not going to frown upon anybody messing up because it's wrestling. It's
what happens.
It happens. And I'm not mad at anybody for anything that happens. And one incident was because someone was super green and I didn't know about it. And I let them do something they weren't supposed to do. And, that's what happens. But the fact is, I've never had that go out. Like, that's the wrestling ego in me. Like, oh, I never got that farewell match.
Yeah.
And part of me wants that, but mentally I know I can't have it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen the spark. Don't think I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it. I've seen you sitting there at that booth with that little gleam in your eyes like, oh, I'd love to be
Especially
in there.
after this last show, that spark exploded.
Yeah, I could tell. So
I got a question for you, though.
Okay.
The moment you retired,
mm-hmm.
did Dalton Davis inbox you talking about your comeback match? Because
No.
he did me. I was in the hospital after losing my leg, and he's like, brother, we got one more in you. We got one more in you. Me and you, no DQ match. I'll carry you the whole way. We'll finish it with the pile driver from the top rope to the floor. I'm like, Parker, no.
No, I didn't get any messages like that. All I got was, I'm sorry to hear about what happened. A lot of, concerned people, a lot of people saying, I appreciate what you did for the business and stuff like that. And I appreciate everyone coming to me and telling me that. It made me feel a little humble and very happy that I did something for a company, wrestling company, or an industry or whatever, because I've always wanted the business to be better when I walk away.
Boom. That's why you're a MadBash boy.
And, I want to help, not saying like I have any pull or anything, but I want to help the future. I want to, because I do have that experience, and I feel like I can help people with maybe like being an agent or whatever, and be like, well, that doesn't make sense. But if someone tells me, well, this is why we're doing it, and this is why it makes sense, I'll be like, okay, then I'll shut the fuck up, because I don't know everything. No one knows everything.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to help out anybody that comes to me for help.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, like, just to date this, probably shouldn't, but today is the day that we announced that Jay Silva is now a MadBash boy. And, I said, our vibe, our motto, just everything, like, Jay checks all those boxes. And, like, you saying what you just said right there with that little talk that you just had there, like, that checks all the boxes. Like, we all have the same thing of, it's like, and not to make it about us, but it's just like, that's what we saw in you of the, I want to leave this place better than it was. I want to, and I'm not going to go into too much detail. We'll probably go into it a little bit more on Page Show, but like you said, that spark ignited big time at this last EPW show. Mm-hmm. And we can go into more detail about what exactly maybe happened. We won't do it here, but, I've noticed it more as I've gotten to know you and like gotten to work with you, and like you see, like you can just tell that you have the mind for it, and you are like, because I've almost had to snap you out of it a couple of times on commentary where you're just like looking and you have a little bit of a head tilt and you're just kind of like analyzing and like seeing what's going on. And then I have to remind you, like, you can analyze it all you want, but you're going to have to explain what you're analyzing right now, because there's a mic on us, but
and sometimes when I'm watching wrestling, whether it's on TV or independent, whatever, it doesn't matter. I cannot watch it as a fan anymore.
No,
it's hard because I went to the last WWE show at Fastlane, and I'm watching. I'm like analyzing everything, and I'm trying to watch it as a fan, and I'm sitting there like, huh, okay, I get it. And I'm sitting
Do you
there,
find yourself doing commentary in your head now?
A little bit, yeah.
Now that you're on commentary,
and plus there's no commentary when you're live at the event. But I'm just sitting there like, okay, this is gonna happen. Like, I'm sitting there next to my girlfriend. I'm like, watch this gonna happen. Watch this gonna happen. And she just shut the fuck up and let me watch this. And I'm like trying to call things, and there were some things I was wrong about. There were some things they swerved me and went, oh shit.
Yeah.
And that's
that's why they're the masters, and that's why we're
Exactly.
in my spare bedroom right now.
Exactly. And and that's, I don't care what anybody says, you can learn from any wrestling company whatsoever, because they might make you think a different way about a certain match. Like there's millions of ways to tell a story, and they might make you think you're going this way, but you're taking a hard left turn this way. Does it make sense sometimes or all the time? Not really, but it doesn't matter. You're being put on that roller coaster of a ride during the match.
Yeah. Now, is this because I don't know how many people actually know this about you, and I certainly did not know this about you until you told me. You were trained by Truth Martini. So is that stuff that he instilled in you, or is this just stuff that you learned as you were going?
He learned, like, he was there a lot, and he was big on just making everything make sense.
Yeah.
Big on making everything look like a fight. It doesn't have to be polished.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people go, oh, everything's got to be perfect. No, you're simulating a fight. You're simulating a match. You're trying to win a match.
Yeah.
And he was big, and believe it or not, this, he wasn't really, his big thing is etiquette. His big thing,
I can see that.
His big thing was etiquette, because I'll get into it a little bit on the Patreon about some stories he told me, but it's just etiquette. Every day, what was it? It was 3 months, 4 days a week, 4 hours a day, training nonstop, and etiquette was brought up every single day.
It needs to be. We need more of that stuff because it's gone.
Yeah,
it's gone.
And when I first started, I was at promotions where there were a lot of vets and whatnot, and I get it, they're not going to tear it down. I was the only one tearing down the ring at some shows.
Yeah.
And I've had people come up and help for like a few minutes and then go off to, oh, I'm going home. And I'm the only one tearing down, and I'm just like...
Everyone's around so those boards come down.
Exactly. And then it's like, that was me trying to pay my dues, because that's what we were taught. Help put up the ring, help tear down, make sure you do the right things. And I even got a title because of it, and people were not happy.
But it's like you've proven that you've earned it.
Yeah, because I had a talk with this certain person. I might get into it in the Patreon. I won't give names, but I had a talk.
This is going to be, I told you, this is going to be a good fucking paid show.
I got in a conversation with someone I really respect, who I used to ride with. Well, not ride with, but we got along very, very well, and we believed in the right things because he was a Detroit guy and everything. And he told me I got heat because he put the title. Him and me both got heat because they put a title on me because I was an unknown. And he was trying to explain that etiquette, people need to show more etiquette in the locker room, and people didn't take it very well.
Yeah. So I've been wanting to tell you this story, but I always forget about it, and it literally just popped into my head right now. So I have one Truth Martini story. I only met him once, and I was with Spencer Wallace. We went to a Ring of Honor show, and he's walking by, and Spencer Wallace goes, "Truth Martini," and he stands there and he puts his hand up like this for a high five, and Spencer goes, "What are you doing?" And he just points to his hand. And then Spencer gave him a high five. And then he just went back into the locker room. Like, it was just while we were waiting in line before the show. Did he ever talk about whenever he had to dress up as Doink the Clown for JCW?
He did not. He never told that story. He told us several stories, which I will get into in the Patreon. But he's such a nice dude. Like, I respect him, and I'm kind of mad that I didn't go up to Detroit more often to train.
Yeah.
Because I think I would have learned more. But I just got stuck in Indiana because when I was training, I was living with family, and that's how I got trained. And I got hurt during training, and then second time around when the next class came, I kept going till he told me, yeah, you're ready to go, because I didn't want to disrespect him and just start going, working, thinking I knew everything. I said, hey, can I continue?
But you wanted his seal of approval until you did. Perfect. This is why I love you.
And I wanted him telling me, yeah, you're good to go, because here's the thing with me in training, I didn't the last few weeks of training, everyone got practice matches, and they brought in like people from companies in Detroit, and there were some big names that came in, and they got to work with them and do like matches, and then Truth Martini would give his his critiques, like, hey, you got to work on this, you got to work on that, whatever. I didn't get any of that. I didn't get the all I got was I reffed matches because I was in a sling. I hurt my arm. And I was reffing matches, and that's what I did for the first 3 months of wrestling. And then I kept going to training until he told me, yeah, you're good to go. And I am so grateful for what he's done for me, just getting me in that wrestling mind.
Are you still in contact with him?
I am not, actually, sadly. But if I went up to the school, they would probably remember me.
Because, I'm sure, yeah.
Because if I remember right, the person that's head trainer there, me and him had a couple matches up north in South Bend area, and I think one of the people that was in my training class is also helping with training.
Oh, cool.
So I'm still in contact with them. But
I got him on Facebook. We can call him tonight.
But it's just, and I'm very grateful for everything he's done for me. Whether we didn't keep in contact, but I'm still grateful for what he's taught me.
Yeah. And so we're going to start to wrap up here, but Madrox has a question that he always likes to ask all of our guests.
Oh, I haven't done this in so long.
Because we haven't had a good guest to ask.
Oh, Colby Jack, you ready for this hot take?
Oh, boy.
What's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done in a wrestling match?
Oh, perfect.
Or that you've done or that has happened.
Okay, so I was working a show in Indianapolis, and it was DCCW. And I was going around the ring, doing my gimmick, high fives, whatever. I went around. I slipped and hit. I fell butt first and everything, went up the stairs, and people were laughing at me or whatever. So the next show, I did the same exact thing, and I acted like I was going to fall. kind of like long-term storytelling.
Yeah.
But that's probably the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me in a match. Or during anything in wrestling.
Did the whole crowd lose their shit?
Yeah, they were laughing at me. But for the people that saw me, because it was only one side of the ring.
Well, kudos on you for playing off of it, though.
Yeah, because it's the cow's kind of comedy gimmick. I just kind of just play off and just kind of go, you know what? I can laugh at myself.
A lot of guys would be like, nope, never reliving that moment in my life. That was horrible. But you're out here like, hey, let's do it again.
Yeah.
Well, it's like that story with or the video rather from Botchamania of Claudio Castagnoli backing up and then tripping over the stairs, and he picks the stairs up and he's giving them euros from back in the day. This was old Claudio Castagnoli, but yeah, good on you for like actually playing it up and like doing, because not like Madrox said, a lot of guys would try to be too cool for the room and try to be like. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. That didn't happen. Nothing happened. But then you play into it. And then that could have been a thing that you could have run with for months of like you go to get up the stairs and you're like kind of catch yourself.
Any little thing can be played off at any time in wrestling. Like it's entertainment. Learn to laugh at yourself. You know, like if you do something stupid, play off it. Do some like kind of play off it. Like, what was it? I had I'll tell a quick story real quick.
Yeah.
My first time at EPW, I wrestled Parker and Munchie Gonzalez in a triple threat. I did that, and I did the cow gimmick in the squash because they needed someone to be squashed. I said, whatever, I'll do it. And we came up with it was Terry. We did
Terry
the spot.
Hopper.
Yep.
Love him.
We did a spot.
He's another one. Every time Terry Hopper needs to be on this fucking podcast.
It would be yes. And we did. Parker came up to me and goes, "Are you okay with taking a bump from the ref?" I go, "Absolutely. Let's fucking do it." And so we did this whole thing throughout the match where I'm yelling at Terry the whole match, and he just flips out and gives me no offense, Terry, the worst super kick I've ever seen in my life. It looked like a karate kick, like the jumping karate kick.
Have you seen his stunners?
And he gave it to me. I was yelling at him, and then he gave me the super kick. He goes for the cover, and Parker counts.
That's awesome.
And then they switch back sides, but that, like, little things like that can be, like, people go, oh, refs shouldn't be bumping wrestlers. Why not? It's entertainment.
I mean, we got Terry Hopper doing a Fight Forever spot with Rico Jones and Danville Dreamers too. But you know what I mean? So,
clearing a whole ring with Stone Cold Stunners.
Hell yeah. But
he tried to fuck on me.
Yeah. Terry tried to fuck on me.
Line up, Terry.
If you guys have not seen Danville Dreamers 2, it is now available. Patreon.com/MadBash Studios. Hey, speaking of Patreon.com/MadBash Studios, we're going to be rolling into that with Paige Show coming up here as soon as we end this. Colby, this was awesome.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here, man. We've been trying to make it happen for so long, and now here you are, man. This was awesome.
Open door, brother.
Open door anytime. You're one of the Bash boys, you know. You can come on whenever you want, however you want, whenever.
We say that, and he's going to end up like Dalton Davis. We're just going to walk in the studio. He's going to be sitting here trying to do
Dalton
his own
Davis
interviews.
pretty much squats at my house now. Like, he pretty much lives here. Are you kidding me?
I work too much to be out here every day.
Yeah.
I work way too much.
So where can the people find you on social media?
Actually, I don't have no social media at the moment. I have my shoot Facebook, but I'll give that out on Patreon, but I'm not going to give it out here because I don't want to distinguish the Colby Jack character.
Yeah, I don't blame you. You
know where they can find him?
Where's
Facebook.com/MadBash Studios.
Oh, yeah, you're on there.
There we go.
There's going to be a lot more content coming up with you soon, by the way. Hint, hint, hint. You can find me on Instagram at @attaboydickie. Madrox is kind of MIA on social media as well, so don't even worry about him. The big one, though, MadBash Studio. Oh, MadBashStudios.com. Head to MadBashStudios.com.
Do what? We got a .com now?
I forgot to mention that we now officially own MadBashStudios.com. So I'm going to be building a website before too long, but right now it'll direct you to all my links. Find everything you know about MadBash Studios there on there. So yeah, MadBashStudios.com, Patreon.com/MadBash Studios. And I called it at the beginning. This is going to be a good paid show. I have a feeling this is going to be a good paid show, especially when we wait for a certain person to get here.
I mean, look at Dixie Carter sitting right next to me.
Yeah,
she's excited.
how funny. Yeah, there's a signed Dixie Carter 8x10 in the studio.
Why is it broke?
Right now. The frame is broke because it was sitting in my closet.
My question is, why is she before the Sandman?
I don't know, but she shouldn't be.
She should not.
She really shouldn't be. But
that's
all
true,
right,
brother.
All right, guys. We'll see you on Patreon. Colby, thank you again so much.
Thank you for having me, guys.